A sitting Republican congressman walked onto the House floor. This week, he named 3 specific on record. He explained why they were not investigated with a document. Then, he connected this non-prosecution issue to a German chemical company trying to eliminate 61,000 cancer lawsuits, a lobbying firm that had previously employed the Attorney General and the president who signed the law under his own order. Thomas Massie, Republican, Kentucky. And he had brought the document for each claim. First, you need to understand who this man is. Massie is a co-author of the Epstein Victims Transparency Act, a law passed in November 2025 by a vote of 427-1 and signed by Trump. What was the purpose of this law? The Ministry of Justice cannot redact documents to protect powerful individuals from shame or loss of reputation. Only the identity information of the victim can be concealed. That's the whole law. 427-1. Trump signed it. And this week, Massie said his own administration violated the law it wrote, a practice that publishes the names of victims while keeping the names of alleged offenders secret, the exact opposite of what the law requires. Massie said on the floor, "I haven't seen any arrests stemming from the disclosures in the Epstein files. More than 3 million documents. It tells terrible things. Most of it is redacted. Dozens of people have resigned. CEOs, government officials worldwide. But I haven't seen any arrests or investigations in the U.S. from the Justice Department." He laid out the international picture. Prince Andrew was arrested. Former UK Ambassador Peter Mandelson resigned and was arrested. Former Norwegian Prime Minister Torbjorn Jagland is accused. In the United States, 0 arrests, 0 charges, 0 investigation. At this point, the situation took a different turn. Massie named 3 names, clearly, on the record. "I will name the men who need to be investigated here. Leon Black, Jess Staley, directly present in the files. Why isn't it being investigated? And Leslie Wexner." The FBI listed him as a co-conspirator in a child sex trafficking case in its own documents. Then, by his own account, he said the FBI had no questions for him. How is this explained? This was not speculation. These 3 names are present in the publicly available Epstein files. Massie said this from the congressional floor, on the record. Axios, CNN, and Al Jazeera confirmed that Massie and Representative Rowanna spent 2 hours in the Justice Department's reading room and that the names of at least 6 men are still redacted. Al Jazeera reported that 18 of the 20 names in the documents were redacted, the exact opposite of the law. But there is a notable detail here. Massie not only spoke about the failures in the Epstein investigation, he tied a second scandal in the same speech, Bayer, German chemical company, and the chain of connections he named. This government is under siege by lobbyists and lawyers for a German company called Bayer, he said. 3 separate government agencies, too. They lobbied for herbicides, known as Roundup, for more than $9 million, and they are achieving some successes. Then he mentioned the connection point. The Deputy Prime Minister and the Attorney General of the administration are associated with individuals who have previously held positions in firms connected to lobbying networks representing the interests of large companies like Bayer. Lobbying public forums reveal this connection chain, and according to analyses by Public Citizen and U.S. Right to Know, it is noted that Bayer spent over $9.19 million on lobbying at the congressional and executive levels in 2025. Additionally, it is stated that Susie Wiles and Pam Bondi were also paid employees at the lobbying firm Ballard Partners in the past. Third, it lists Bayer's own lobbying tracker, Ballard Partners, among the outside firms it pays to represent its interests. Fourth, Ballard's founder, Brian Ballard, reportedly raised more than $50 million for the Trump campaign. The chain consists of 4 documented facts. It is up to the reader to evaluate what this chain means. And this changed the course of the trial, because something happened 6 days after Massie's speech. February 18th. Trump signed an executive order using the Defense Production Act to declare a national defense priority for glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup. AgriGlobal confirmed this development. No president has ever used national security law in this way to protect a commercial herbicide. Look at the legal stake. Trump's Bondi aide had already filed a brief with the Supreme Court seeking Bayer's exemption from all state-level lawsuits. Trial date, April 27th. If Bayer wins, 61,000 pending health lawsuits claiming its products caused harm could be dismissed. But as Massie pointed out, the critical point is this. Although these appear to be two separate incidents, they are actually different examples of the same structure. Because in both cases, powerful interests are being protected. This is happening at the direct expense of the affected individuals, and the process is seen to progress through the same mechanism involving individuals who have previously been part of structures representing these interests. The Epstein Victims Transparency Act explicitly prohibits name suppression to protect certain individuals from embarrassment. The law is in effect. Trump signed it. Still, more than 18 names in the files are still redacted. And what was the Attorney General's answer when the man who wrote the law asked that question? According to NBC News, Bondi described Massie as a failed politician with Trump derangement syndrome, by the person who is legally obligated to enforce the law he wrote. Farm Action, as a group aligned with Trump's MAHA agenda, documented a striking situation regarding the process. Initially, glyphosate was defined as a long-term health risk by the MAHA Commission. But after contacts with 140 agricultural lobbyists, this statement was quietly removed from the final report, allegedly resulting in the health warning disappearing from the text due to industry influence. Let's look at the numbers. In 1 year, $9.19 million spent on lobbying. Under a law that explicitly prohibits this, 18 out of 20 names have been redacted. 0 charges from the U.S. in more than 3 million documents. 61,000 cases awaiting decision on April 27th. 2 former employees of the firm hired to influence the executive body now run that executive body. This was what Massie said in the context of the Roundup case. He began his speech by saying, "The Constitution grants the right to a trial to those harmed. So why are we considering intervening?" He reminded that the Attorney General had expressed his opinion in favor of this German company before the Supreme Court, and also noted that the President's Vice President and the Attorney General had previously worked for one of the largest firms lobbying in this case. Therefore, he expressed that he saw the production of this chemical being made a national defense priority as a step to eliminate potential liabilities. Take a step back and look at the whole picture. On the Epstein front, there is a law that passed 427-1, signed by Trump. The law explicitly prohibits the redaction of powerful names. Still, more than 18 names remain redacted. 0 Americans have been charged. There are arrests, indictments internationally, none in America. The Attorney General's reaction to the man who wrote the law asking the question was a personal attack. On the Roundup front, Bayer spent $9.19 million on lobbying. 2 officials who now run the executive branch previously worked at the firm representing Bayer. 6 days after the conversation, an executive order benefiting the firm was signed. The Supreme Court will consider a decision that could affect 61,000 cases on April 27th. The health findings of the MAHA Commission disappeared after lobbying. Massie is a Republican. Representative Rohn is a Democrat. They both entered the Justice Department reading room together. What did they find together? The exact opposite of what the law required. When 2 people at opposite ends of the political spectrum reach the same conclusion about the same behavior, the question is no longer whether something is wrong, whether anyone with real authority is willing to take action. Before leaving the floor, Massie named 3 individuals, one by one: Leon Black, Jess Staley, and Leslie Wexner. Then he mentioned the lobbying firm, the Deputy Prime Minister, the Attorney General, the chemical company, and the executive order separately, placing them all within the same framework. And finally, he simply said, I yield my time. In parliamentary language, this expression often means that everything that needed to be said has been said and is now on record. The record now shows this. The Epstein Victims Transparency Act is in effect, on Trump's desk. It has a vote of 427 to 1, and the man who wrote this law now says the administration is violating it. Bear's lobbying expenditures are available in public disclosure forms. The connection to Ballard Partners is available in the public disclosure forms. The executive order has been signed. The Supreme Court hearing is on April 27th. 18 redacted names remain secret. 0 Americans have been charged. And the answer the Attorney General gave to the man who wrote the law is on record: a failed politician. From the Minister of Justice, who is responsible for enforcing the law that bears his signature on the table.